There you have it, folks. 24.2 has been announced. 24.2 is a 20-minute AMRAP of a 300-meter row, 10 deadlifts, and 50 double unders. From the outset, obviously, it's going to be a pacing style workout. Obviously, pacing as high as you possibly can. Initially, I was thinking there's not many tips, and then I kind of dug into it, and I've got a few really good tips to help you make the most out of this workout. My name is Matt McNaughton. I'm a level 2 CrossFit trainer, and my goal with these videos is to help you to do your best in the open and ideally help to stress a little bit less about the whole shebang. Just like last time, we're going to start off with standards. I think the deciding factor for whether you RX or scale this workout is whether or not you can do some double unders, but most importantly, whether you can do safe deadlifts. This shouldn't be a max effort deadlift. You certainly could do singles on the deadlift, and I wouldn't fault anybody for doing that, but there's going to be a lot of hamstrings and glutes used on that rower, so they are going to fatigue as we go through the workout. Essentially, every stroke on the rower is a very light deadlift. So we're going to watch for the deadlift weight and make sure we treat those with the respect they deserve. A couple standards to talk about. We need to reset the rower monitor each time. Some people get into the habit of doing this in class. Most people do not, and they take advantage of the rollover calories. Not going to be able to do that here. Stay seated until the 300 meters is up. You can't watch the last couple meters tick. You cannot sit up until you have hit 300 meters. One thing that I did read in the rule book, if the time expires and you're on the rower, your score is the rower number when it comes to rest. So that last huge pull with 1 second left, you might get a few more meters out of that. In fact, well, you will get a few meters out of that. Lock out your deadlifts. Lock out your deadlifts. We all know what a locked out deadlift feels like. If you can't squeeze your butt, you've not locked out your deadlift. And let your judge count your dubs. Don't stop doing double unders until they tell you to stop doing double unders. I like to tell my judge how I want them to count. Tell me every 10 and give me a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, done. And I would not stop until they say done. Now, as far as strategy, everybody's strategy, no matter where you are in the spectrum, is the same. The goal is to have your first round be very similar as your last round. Okay? So finding what that's going to feel like, maybe in your warm-ups, and hopefully kind of figure it out as you go, that is going to be the key for everyone. Secondarily, your transitions will be key. Let's say you're doing, let's be conservative, 5 rounds. That's 15 transitions. If each of those transitions takes an extra 4 seconds, there's a minute wasted. Did I do that math right? Yeah, I did. So keep that in mind. Set yourself up, and we'll talk about how to make those transitions quicker as I dive into each movement. Rower. This is the modulator. You need to be able to get off of the rower directly onto the deadlifts. You will have data directly in front of your face with what your pace is. Try to hold the same pace the whole time. But if you need to slow down, it's okay. Breathe on the rower. Every time you drive through your feet, every time you're pushing back, blow yourself out. And then as you're returning and there's no strain, no pressure, you take that breath in. If you can breathe out and in each time, we're going to keep that heart rate lower. Your feet. You should have your straps set so you do not need to touch the straps every time. They should be tight enough that you can slip your feet in and you're good. Loose enough that you don't get stuck. To get out, kick your foot up, pull your foot out. Practice that. That will add to a lot of time. And then finally, your damper. Some people are very on top of adjusting their damper to what they're used to. If you're not, typically we want to be around 120 for the guys and around 110 for the girls, if I remember correctly. But just take a look at that damper. Just because it's a 5 on your rower doesn't mean that it's the same damper as a 5 on a different rower. There's other things that come into play there. Something to look into. Ask your coach about it if you don't know what I'm talking about. Deadlifts. I am concerned about the deadlifts for the folks who are pushing it on this one. It is a lightweight for the top 10% athletes. It is a heavy enough weight to do some damage if we're not treating it with the respect that it deserves. Brace your core, use your legs. Do not hinge at the hip, okay? Because these certainly will add up. If you're doing 5 rounds, that's 50 deadlifts. So be mindful on those. Use your legs. Go into the deadlifts with a plan. If you think you can do them unbroken every round, great. If you think you can do 5 and 5 or 6 and 4 every round, awesome. If it looks like 4, 3, 3 every round, great. And if it's quick singles, cool. Do it safely, do it consistently. The goal is the first round should be the same as the last round. Dubs. You either love them or you hate them. You probably said at the end of the Open last year, oh, I'm going to work on my dubs. If you did, this is your reward. Okay? Number 1, happy rope. What does that mean? When I set the rope down, it makes a happy face so that I'm not untangling my little rope every single time I pick up the rope. Relax your shoulders, but also try to relax your face. Relax your jaw. If I can relax my face, my whole body will relax. That's how I breathe. If you can breathe normally on double unders, you are effectively efficient at double unders. If you're still working on double unders, single, single, double, all day long, you know? Let your judge count. Sometimes if you're counting your double unders, we count with our mouths. And when we're counting with our mouths, we're not breathing. You have a judge. It's one of the 3 workouts a year where someone is counting for you. Let them count for you. Talk to them. Tell them how you would like them to inform you of your number. Every 10, every 5, what have you. But do not count. And your Goldilocks sets. This is huge on double unders. You'll also hear me say this about gymnastics. On double unders, if you can always do 10 and you don't finish that 10 with your shoulders beside your ears, do 10s all day long. If you get to 10 and then the shoulders start creeping up and you're still going, but you're tight and you're squeezing and your forearms are starting to blow up, we're wasting energy. So I want you to do those sets. Take a sec. Do those sets. Take a sec. It's better to rest on your own terms, and it's better to keep the quality high for efficiency's sake. That's what I'm looking at for strategy. If you're in the top 10%, you're going to go faster. There'll be some games athletes getting into the 12 rounds here. But pace, again, what you can do so that your first round looks like your last round. If you get to the halfway point and you say, I think I can go a little faster, congrats. Do it. Give her. That's what I got for strategy. We're keeping the same, very similar format to last week. We want to make sure our calves and tibs are nice and warm for our dubs. We want to make sure we're feeling good on the rower. We want to make sure the weight is feeling light relatively. And we're able to use our big, strong legs for those deadlifts. So here's a warm-up that you can screenshot. I got some calf raise, tib raise, lunges. I would step them backwards. Inchworms, you'll always see in my warm-ups. Glute bridges with a little pause at the top, squeeze your butt. Some skipping and some empty bar deadlifts just to grease the groove. Instead of a salt bike this week, we're going to hop on the rower. We'll row for a minute. We'll increase our pace each minute. In the off minutes of that 6-minute EMOM, we'll do pass-throughs. We want to make sure our chest is loose so that we can have good posture. Our Kang squats, make sure the hips are ready to go. And then our up dog to down dog, again, pushing my head through that window and then pushing my hips to the sky. We should be sweaty finishing all of that work. If you're not, do something again. You should be sweaty. And then we have playtime. So we're going to practice some small sets of double unders. We'll warm up our deadlifts, building up to our workout weight, and we'll kind of mix that up with some gentle rowing. On the dubs, practice breathing. On the rowing, practice keeping your torso nice and tall. And then I have a half practice round. Your choice. I will probably do 2 of those, 150-meter row, 3 to 5 deadlifts, and then 15 to 25 dubs, or some amount of each. Don't overdo it, but you do want to get a sweat on, feel that heart rate get up, and prime the nervous system for this big, long warm-up. That's going to help us kind of keep it a little bit lower as we move through that longer 20-minute AMRAP. That's my plan. That's what I think. That's how I would do it. That's how I will do it. I hope everybody who messaged me about the strategy last week found it very helpful, and I hope this one does as well. We'll see you for the next one next Thursday, gang. Fingers crossed for something complicated and heavy for my sake.
Heavyweight champion, Seth freaking Rollins.
I would not want to be in this garage.